Khru Dave Gomez. You're a fighter, you're a coach, you're what I would call a master of Muay Thai. You're a Miami native and a gym owner, and it's an honor to have you on Beyond the Mat.
No, thank you.
Thank you. But I want to dig a little deeper into what makes Muay Thai unique
Okay.
and what separates it from, let's say, kickboxing or karate or boxing for the average person. What are the things that you see that you go, okay, that's Muay Thai?
Well, all right. So kickboxing is a very young sport. Kickboxing comes from America. Japan helped, but and there's variations of kickboxing from Europe and stuff. But for the most part, what we call kickboxing kind of comes from, the Chuck Norris days. And kickboxing traditionally, it traditionally comes from guys who wear shiny pants, and you're not allowed to kick the legs, you're not allowed to clinch, you're not allowed to elbow. The stance is designed that would maximize that type of fighting. The rounds are designed with a number that would match that type of fighting, which would probably be 10 rounds back in those days. And Muay Thai started, being looked at as a sport right around the 1200s. Around the world, sailors from France and Holland and Japan have always known that the Siamese fighters were the ones to challenge yourself against. So they would send themselves over there, and it's been a gambling sport since ancient times. And in ancient Siam, if two neighborhoods had a dispute, rather than let these two clans go to war, they'd choose a fighter from each of them and solve it with a fight, and then the rules would be based on whoever won the fight. So from
And is Siam the kind of the motherland where Thailand comes from, or?
Yes. So what we would call today, like Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, all of that area was one country that was called Siam for a long, long time, and one of the longest empires in the world. And then after World War II, we broke it all up, and Thailand was one of the countries that we broke it into.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, so continuing on that thread of kind of the history of Muay Thai, these international sailors, they knew that the Siamese fighters were the ones that you should test yourself with.
So there'd be gambling and drinking and tough dudes, right? So what I think, what's the difference between the traditional martial arts across the world? I spent my entire career defending myself. We have competitors that go to karate tournaments, that go to other tournaments, because I want my students to get fights.
Yeah.
And we do very well. And in so many cases, but we come from traditional martial arts. I feel a little insulted by that, because what argument do they want to bring to that? Is karate all that old? Because it's really not. It comes from the 1950s. Okay. And
I see what you're saying. So the implication when people say that is that Muay Thai is not a traditional martial art.
What do you base that on? We come from traditions. We carry traditions. We have a Y Crew ceremony before fights. We speak in the language of the history. The laws of Thailand are actually enacted to protect the culture of Thailand. You can't fight with the wrong shorts or wearing the wrong stuff or act in the wrong way, or you could be breaking the law.
That's a good point.
So the culture and tradition in Thai that we have from Muay Thai within the Thai audience is something that I'm very proud of and something that I feel very strongly about. But why among the traditional martial arts has Muay Thai still been able to evolve and modernize and find success? And the shame of it all is something that I don't hope continues, and I'm not proud of. It's the gambling aspect. Because anything that you can gamble on is going to keep getting better.
Yeah, that's true.
Does karate look the same as it did a long time ago in some ways?
No.
Not really.
Definitely not.
Why? Because Olympics changed it.
Yeah.
That was where the success was going to go.
It's when things become a sport, and this has kind of been a common thread on my channel and in some of my conversations, is almost going to the Olympics is like the worst thing you could do to a martial art, and becoming a sport. And you see the analogies, like even in jiu-jitsu, right? It started off when I mean, it started a while ago, but when the Gracies kind of put their twist on it.
Let's see how
it
fighting
was-
works out.
And Hoist Gracie and Hickson and all of the brothers were fighting. There was strikes included. There was they would stand up, and then it got into kind of the butt scooting and pulling guard and the no striking.
But the rules incentivize this. All right, I use this
Same
as a
thing with
teaching
judo.
example.
Look at judo. I mean, Jigoro Kano's textbooks had striking in them. He taught strikes, and he also taught ground fighting. And
a lot of the submissions that we find to be new today, we think they're new. They were 100 years ago in there
Yep.
too, but we incentivize through the active sport. But okay, so I agree with your statement, but at the same time, if judo had not removed the dangerous stuff and allowed the opportunity for randori, then we would never have moved on to more effective fighting.
That's a good point.
So you have to find that balance somewhere. We do have to make it to where we're not breaking your neck. We can go live.
Yeah.
People love grappling because you can go live all the time.
Yeah.
Boxing and Muay Thai, we can't go 100% and kill each other any day of the week, right?
No.
So that's where Thai pads become so much of what we have fun with. But, I think that the way in sport that we incentivize the success will change the way that sport will go. As a teaching point, I will bring up, what is the only sport in the world that has a steel cup? Muay Thai. Now, how many minutes in American MMA, if somebody gets kicked in the groin, how many minutes do they have to recover?
I think they get 5 minutes.
Up to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a long time, right? In Thailand, somebody gets kicked in the groin. How long do they have to recover?
I don't know.
0
I have
seconds,
no
not
idea.
a foul.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
It's your job to protect your cup. It's your job to protect your nuts.
Wow,
you
I
know?
like that.
Yeah. And you know what ends up happening? Nobody's pretending the guy hitting the balls and jumping on the floor because the rules don't incentivize that.
Huh.
And in soccer, why does a guy throw himself on the floor and act like he,
Yeah.
because the rules incentivize that. Why shouldn't he? He should.
Yeah, see, I like that because, getting hit in the nuts, whether it's on purpose or by mistake, that's a reality of fighting. And the further that you stray from the reality and you make something a sport, that's one more blind spot or deficiency that the art is going to have.
I kind of think so. But again, back to the same point. If we didn't take away, we do have to find a balance between those things. Because if all we did was poke each other in the eyes and try to grab the nuts, this wouldn't be a great sport to watch either.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And there's a balance in there somewhere.
Okay, so to that point, to how the art has changed over time, Muay Thai, in my opinion, is distinguished by the tools that you can use. Right,
Okay.
I'd say if you think of it like a Swiss Army knife that gets more and more complex with each martial art, you have a lot of options. You got elbows, you got knees, you got kicks with your feet, you got strikes, you have a little bit of clinching and grappling to a certain extent.
Mhm.
So has that always been the case? Or has
Mm-hmm.
it evolved with even the tools that are used?
The tools that are allowed are very similar today as to what they've always been.
Okay.
Right? Very, very similar. Sometimes there's little technicalities like what part of your foot you could sweep with and stuff, but in practice, it doesn't change the sport all that much, But what does change, like my favorite period of watching Muay Thai fights is the golden era. And we think of the golden era kind of like 1985 to like year 2000.
Okay.
And within that period, the greatest talent of fighting was actively fighting each other. The promoters were able to make some of the fights, all the dream fights that we would hope for, we got to have them fight. All the fighters that were big heroes of fought each other 5-6 times, right? So during that period, we got to see the sport grow a lot and change a lot. But just the same way that MMA has periods where the kickboxers were on top. There was a period that jiu-jitsu was the only thing that you could do.
Yep.
There was a period where wrestling was the way.
That's true.
Right? And I feel like those things change. So within Muay Thai, there's been periods where like it's a lot of clinch, and you'll see for a couple of years, like people figured out some tricks, but then people figure out how to get around that stuff, and the sport changes. But what I feel like, because I like the Swiss Army knife comparison, right? Because it makes me think of, I also teach knife fighting and bladed edge stuff and law enforcement stuff. So if you were going to get in a fight with guy A and guy B, and Guy A had a Swiss Army knife that had all kinds of tools, and guy B had a machete in his hand. I would much rather fight the Swiss Army guy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, I mean, so sometimes if you have to focus on
But there
7 different
is-
weapons, are you going to be proficient with 7 different weapons rather than with getting really good with one?
That's where the beauty lies, right? But like and that's why, you know, if I watch MMA fights with my jujitsu friends, they're very disappointed. They're just like, oh my God, what is this guy? This guy didn't show up to jujitsu day 2. When I watch MMA with my boxing friends, the same. Oh my God, this guy didn't show up to boxing day 2.
Crap on MMA striking.
Muay Thai guys the same, you know, and I see it from all of their views. I've had extensive experience in all of those realms, and I get it. But the truth is, like, in order to have success in MMA, you can't be great at all the things in the same way that guy shouldn't carry a Swiss Army knife to the fight. He's got to pick which of those blades is the one, and that's the one. In Muay Thai, that's exactly how the sport actually unfolds. There are all those things that you mentioned, but a fighter would be classified into usually about 5 categories. Muay Mat being like the puncher,
That's what I wanted to
brawler.
get into. Yep.
The Muay Femur being like the technician, the defensive genius. Muay Khao being like a clinch and knee guy.
Okay.
Muay Sok being the elbow fighter who fights his way all the way into landing those elbows. And Muay Thai being a kicker, right? We could break that up a little more. Just some people have more categories they'll fall into, but for the most part, somebody's really good at one thing.
Okay.
You know, and that might be true in all realms of combat.
For sure.
You know,
Everybody has a game. I mean, in jiu-jitsu, I'd like to think guillotines and darces are my game, and some people are good at leg locks. Some
But-
people.
okay. What I lean towards too is like it's not a surprise. You know, when I wrestled, everybody you wrestled against, you found out the guy who was good. You've seen 30 of his matches. He did the same move to 30 people.
That's true.
You knew what was going to come.
Yeah.
But he can still do it to you. You know, I think that's what makes it good.
And are these 5 styles, or not styles, but you know, or I guess styles, things that people are good at? Are they training in that? Like, let's say, are there schools that are specialists in Muay Thai, or is it more of an individual journey where you just have like a profile that you kind of resemble?
I know that you have a jiu-jitsu background, so I like to make comparisons that help you reflect it, right? So like, even if I was the kind of guy who got arm bars on everybody, when I teach, I don't just teach you the arm bar. You know, I teach you all the things. And then eventually you kind of figure out what fits you the best, and you build your style based on what fits you. So I think all the coaches are teaching you as if you're going to be a Muay Thai fighter, are teaching you as if you're going to be the most intelligent fighter on earth. Little by little, as you start to compete and find success, you lean where that success is. You know, I had a coach who told me, you just don't forget the well that gave you water.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think this is relevant. If you could give kind of a quick crash course synopsis of the history of Muay Thai, do you think you could present that?
So, all right. Originally, not a sport, just like all martial arts, right? But in way past, long time ago, Siam, their fighters were on the battlefield fighting with swords and shields, meeting on the battlefield the way that many wars around the world were being fought. People at those times would even go to and watch on the sidelines because it wasn't commonplace for you to have total warfare and try to kill the whole city. It was soldier versus soldier, and we'd watch it unfold. In those days, the country that would be called Burma was bordering to Thailand.
Okay.
And they were always at war. Even today, what is now called Myanmar would have been Burma. There's still kind of tension there. And those two countries had always been at battle. In 1767, the capital city of what was Siam at the time, called Ayutthaya, was burned down. Thousands of soldiers were captured, held captive, tortured, beaten. Years went by, and 7 years later, they took one of those guys who he was the Mike Tyson of his time. They knew who he was. Everybody knew this legendary fighter dude, but they figured since he's been starved and kept in poor conditions and stuff, like, you know what we should do? On the Burmese holiday of New Year, we should bring a stadium full of people and watch that boxer get beat up. We should bring Burmese boxers and beat him up. Beat him in front
Like
of
the
everybody.
Roman Colosseum.
Exactly. And Naikanam Tom said, okay, I'll participate in your show, but I want to make you a bet. if I can beat, and they said, you'll never beat our Burmese boxer. He said, well, I'll beat 8 of your Burmese boxers. So if I can beat 8 of your Burmese boxers in fair match, I want you to let me go. I want you to let my people go. Okay. And when I tell stories like this, I don't think George Washington ever cut down a cherry tree, you know?
Yeah,
but it's
the
a cool
mythology.
story. Yeah, it's a cool story, man. So this man's name was Nai Kanom Tom. Nai Kanom Tom was brought to the festival, the Burmese audience watching. Burmese were known for boxing, hands. Muay Thai fighters, Siamese fighters, they fought different. He did the traditional ceremony, the Khru ceremony, which is a dance that we still do today.
To honor your lineage, right?
Yep. Honor your teachers, honor who you came from. A lot of people watching that dance will be able to tell you who's going to win the match, you know? And
wow, why is that?
They believe in the magic that carries with them. You know, sometimes a confidence or swagger can tell you a story, I guess. I don't think I can tell who's going to win based on that, but some people do.
Got it. Okay.
And in this case, they watched him do the dance. They dismissed him and laughed at him. He stood up and pummeled the first guy and pounded him. They said, yeah, but that's an invalid victory because you did the black magic dance. We're bringing out the next fighter and no black magic dance. And he beat 7 guys. The 8th Burmese boxer was a kickboxer that taught several martial arts and was very successful, and they expected him to destroy Nai Kanom Tom. Nai Kanom Tom broke his leg. They couldn't find a 9th guy to want to come out and fight him. They thought the king of Burma, King Mongra, they thought he was going to be upset. And instead, he was so happy, he used it as a moment to try to make fun of the Thai people. And he said, if they had nearly as much sense as they have fighting courage, we wouldn't have captured all of their men. All 8 of his limbs are blessed with venom, and the Thai should be known as such.
Oh, so this is where the art of 8 limbs comes from?
Came from.
Interesting.
And blessed with venom, that comment. He was freed. He was allowed his choice of the carriage that would carry him home full of all the riches he could carry, or 2 Burmese wives. And he chose 2 Burmese wives. And he went back to Thailand and founded what would be the first Muay Thai schools, not military training academy, training martial arts.
Okay.
So they call him the godfather of Muay Thai.
Wow.
From that day on, it became a sport that we used as conditioning, as PE for schools, as self-defense training, and as a gambling sport.
So although you can trace Muay Thai to thousands and thousands of years ago, I guess...
The beginning of martial arts, we can trace it right back, right? But that's where it became Muay Thai.
Yeah, that's where it became its own distinctive thing in 18th century. And do we know where his martial arts training lied? So what I mean by that is, did he learn certain things and he distilled them and he kind of created his own style?
They tell stories like that. I don't know it deeply, but they tell stories of the people, the masters that he learned from, and how he had a great admiration that he was trying to deliver in honor of them, you know? And regionally in Thailand, like the north of Thailand is known for certain stylistic things that are different from the Northeast, and the people that are in the Southeast are known for things. You know, I think that you know the wrestling and clinching aspect was more in some, and kicking in others.
That's common. That's kind of like you know, with kung fu or gong fu. The different areas of China have the style. Same thing with Japanese jiu-jitsu. Exactly. So yeah, that checks out. And going back to the tools conversation. Muay Thai is generally empty hand or open hand. Mm-hmm. Was there ever an incorporation of weapons into Muay Thai, or was that something separate and distinct?
Well, most of the time, fighters, what we call Muay Thai comes from Krabi Krabong. Okay. Which is a sword fighting style. Okay. So even the way that we move is because you would normally have a sword and a shield, and a lot of our demos have those also, like short swords and sword and shield.
So what you teach? You say you teach some knife work. Mm-hmm. Do you class?
Nah, I don't. I've never trained in the traditional Thai weapons training. Okay. And I don't consider it super practical to today's situation.
Got it.
You know.
So Kali and Eskrima and all that. Those are
some. You know, some of those things. Everybody's got. You know, if we went to a restaurant, I'm sure there's certain things you love and certain things you don't. Within the Muay Thai world, because of Danilo Santo and because of all of the progress that he and Adrian Chai have made together, a lot of the JKD stuff gets rolled up with us. I'm not a huge fan. You know, if I'm totally honest, like,
No,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know any JKD guys who could stand up and actually show me. I have this teaching philosophy. I get to teach all across the US and in several gyms in Thailand. My thing, they make t-shirts and give them to me. They say this and, cool story, bro, show me. And I like to spar. I like to show. I like to demonstrate what we do.
Yeah.
And I don't find a lot of the people that train in the theoretical martial arts that ever actually do well.
Yeah. Look, here's my perspective on it.
But there are some Filipino, there are some FMA guys who are really, really good at what they do. And I think they've taken it and evolved it into their own thing that does work really well.
Yeah. My take on it is in any martial art, they're going to have different levels of efficacy in the street or even in MMA. But I think you can find techniques that work. You can find kernels of things and you can adapt them to make them work.
Success is from the athlete, not from the style he's in.
Well, but I still think that the style deserves credit, but it's about the individual. And even Aikido, in my opinion, you could take any martial art and you can find
learn
things
something.
and you can adapt them.
Absolutely.
So, going to your story, how do you grow up? Your stepfather's doing showing you wrestling and Goju,
And he fought in a lot of the early days of No Holds Barred. In the late 80s and 90s in South Florida, there was no grappling, So basically there was, Conan Silveria had just come over here. He and my dad trained together a lot.
Okay.
And Conan Silveria eventually became one of the founders of what became American Top Team.
Really?
So early in the days, they were all training together. My dad's tournament was called the Sport Combat Championships, and he held, again, MMA was not a word yet. So we were having no holds barred fights, bare fist, 15-minute round. The weight classes being 175 and above and 175 and below. The people that founded the Freestyle Fighting Academy, which is a very, very large gym here in South Florida, Marcos and David Avion, they were some of our competitors that competed in my dad's tournament every single time.
Wow.
A lot of what became the biggest names in MMA. So that's where all of my early training was in. I was really seeking a lineage, a tradition, something I could connect to. And I didn't know that that's what I was seeking, but I found that in Muay Thai. I found a connection to something that has roots. I found a culture along with it. And Ajahn Chai and the way that he teaches made me fall in love with Muay Thai, outside of everything else. And I have this joke that I think every karate dude, if he trains long enough, he wants to do Muay Thai. And that's what happened to me. I was a karate guy who did it, most of my life and really seeked out Muay Thai.
So you when I trained with you one time, you told me that, you kind of regret certain things that you did in karate because I don't know if it was the body conditioning, but because you think that it harmed your body long term. So can you dig into that and
well, a lot of
your
the
position
career.
on karate in general?
Yeah, well, and I'm going to say this about karate and boxing because I boxed for many years,
Okay.
and have amateur and professional experience as a boxer as well. And I would say the same thing about boxing that I say about karate is it took a toll on my body. They believe in conditioning by way of damage, right? Where
the microfractures that then grow back harder.
Yeah. I don't know if that's really true, man. And my hands don't do the things they're supposed to do anymore. My fingers don't go straight anymore. I have bone particles that float around in my hand. And the guys that come from these same backgrounds that punch all these stones and hurt themselves, how come they're not winning in combat? How come they're not millionaires? And then the guys who don't do that, who wrap their hands well and take care of themselves, they do have long-lasting careers and find huge success in whatever combat sport you want to bring up. So
this is interesting. So
I don't believe in that.
What about for example, hitting the heavy bag without gloves or with very light gloves to condition your wrists?
I made a comparison a couple of days ago. The guys who broke out of Alcatraz, they did it with a spoon, a little scratch at a time. And how many times have we seen now, there's like an epidemic of this in MMA where a guy breaks his leg and goes to stand on it and it's over.
Yeah.
You know what you've never seen? Nobody can show me a video of a guy with a Thai last name that happened to. You know?
Okay. So
Now, why is that? Because karate dudes sit there and break themselves on purpose. All the guys who tell me they're going to condition themselves with steel pipes and kicking trees and stuff, they're never from Muay Thai backgrounds. Muay Thai people kick a heavy bag because it's a little less dense than my leg. So it's gonna make me uncomfortable. And at the point that it's injuring me, we're gonna stop. And then tomorrow, it'll be a little stronger than it was today.
Wow.
The same way lifting weights, right? But like if I'm hitting my bones with something that's more dense than the bone, I'm creating cracks, like those microfractures you were talking about, but they become more than microfractures, and now you're breaking your own self, you know? So the people that I know that use that as a training method have now limited the movement of their body. They've created more damage than they've overcome, and they've made themselves more of a liability, you know? I feel like the training methodology in boxing is to break each other in the gym.
Yeah.
And 6 or 7 guys have to get broken for one person to make it under the lights.
I agree with
You know?
that.
And that's a shame, man. And in a Muay Thai gym, I would meet fighters who have more experience than any boxer I've ever met. Exponentially more
Yeah,
fights.
all these Thailand guys, they have like 200 fights or
2 to 500 fights through their career, right? Now, a boxer might have 30 to 50 fights in his career. But the reason that's possible is because we're going to train with 5 guys that are all professionals. All of them are going to fight, right? But if I hurt you, your paycheck from Saturday is going to feed us dinner. If I hurt you in our training, it's going to cost me. So we're going to train very, very carefully. But I'm also going to make sure you are totally and completely prepared for success, because your success is my success. Boxing is not structured that way. I was paid to be a sparring partner.
You're blowing my mind here. This is continue though.
But like as a boxing sparring partner, I can remember some famous boxers that I've been brought in to be, you know, and one of them was a very big name in the boxing world, and they brought me in, and he's the kind of guy who doesn't represent the things that I stand for at all. The things he says, the things he does, the way he acts, at all. I didn't like anything about this man, but I'm in my 20s and I got to pay rent. You know? So they told me they would pay me $80 a round for as many as I could stay standing. And like 20-something-year-old me was saying like, you don't know me, man. How many I'm going to stay standing? I'm going to cost you some money, man. Now, and this is the standard for boxing. You know, they're going to pay all these guys to spar against you. They told me that if I could drop him, if I could concuss him during today's training, they would give me a $500 bonus. Now, all of this money that he's paying out to me and to the other training partners that we're training with is coming out of his eventual paycheck. So he's fighting me as if I'm trying to steal his money. And I'm fighting him like I'm trying to steal his money. And that doesn't lend itself to conducive things, you know, but it does lead to injuries, and it leads to brain injury that we don't know about, that we don't see until much later in life. And a lot of the people that I know that are still my age are showing signs of brain injury that are really scary, you know. And I'm 42 years old, and I have 4 kids. I want to make sure that I can be as fruitful to my family and live a life that's as rewarding as possible for as long as possible. Muay Thai is built in a way to preserve your career, to preserve your teammates, to preserve your body. But that's hard to understand for somebody looking from the outside, because it's like
the elbows, the knees,
so
the
hard
head kicks.
in all ways, yeah. But even Thai pads, is designed to be a fight simulator. Muay Thai brought that to combat sports. Think about before the 70s, who did you see hitting pads? Even boxing mitts,
You know,
who hit them?
Seafood White Woods told me that in our conversation that Bruce Lee popularized pads, but I think it was because he was using Thai pads.
He got it from them. Yeah. And if you think about that, you know, in the 60s and 70s, this is all arguable, because if I have friends from the Philippines and they believe they invented pads.
Yeah.
I have friends from Mexico and they believe they invented the pads too, but a lot of my friends are from Thailand. They believe they invented the pads. And they can show me videos from black and white of coaches taking their flip-flop sandals on their hand and then sewing some leather straps around it. And that was the first pads. And they had a belly pad, and they would have people But the reason they needed that was so that you could have that moment that we were speaking about where grappling is so much fun because you get to go live all the time.
Yeah.
Where is that in Muay Thai? That's on the pads.
Mm-hmm.
And the pads is if you have a pad holder who is good, it might be the funnest part of our sport.
For sure.
You know?
Oh, it's the best, hitting pads. But that's interesting that you're talking about in boxing. It's such a different philosophy, and it's about kind of tearing each other down. And they don't boxing.
And that's still not the most effective way. From the coach's point of view, I've been coaching for decades. And I'm open and willing to absorb anything that could be successful, anything that could bring my athletes more success and help them to take less injury and damage. I'm open to hearing it. And the reality is this: PTSD doesn't work. You know, if the last time you saw punches coming at you, you felt trauma, you felt injury. If every time you saw somebody intending to punch you, you also absorbed some horrible thing. So the next time punches come at you, you're going to be awful flinchy, and rationally so. But if every time you saw, I teach people to hold Thai pads because they should have a positive relationship with seeing those things coming at them. They should be able to tell the trigger of a punch or a kick, and be able to read that, but not associate it with pain and injury. And I think that's really important.
Well, Bas Rutten talks about this. He talks about the flinch response and how you want to train to be able to stay calm, see strikes, and not have or try to minimize your flinch response as much as you can.
Well, in military concepts, there's an acronym OODA, the OODA loop.
Okay.
Observe, orientate, decide, and act. That's the process your brain has to go through before you can apply any skill that you know. If you're planning on blocking, slipping, ducking, punching, you need to observe, orientate, decide, and act. That's a lot of steps that have to go through. So martial arts have tried to instinctualize as much of that as may be necessary. In a karate context, they've built their structure and they've built the techniques in such a way to maximize that. Muay Thai and everything else the same. But I think the training methodology, if you have a high trauma training environment, you're slowing down that OODA loop by way of trauma. And also, people that got brain damage don't react better either. So
that's true. Yeah, and this is just anecdotal, and this is as an outside party, but it seems like a lot of these figures in Muay Thai, even people that have had hundreds and hundreds of fights, they, for whatever reason, don't seem to have the same level of brain damage as boxers. I don't know if you would know more than I do, but
again, like I haven't done a study that can use math here, but I say the same. I get to meet people who have, what, you mean 300 fights? I got to train last year with Samart Payakarun. He had over 200 fights, and he was the most successful fighter on the world. And he's super sharp, super lucid, in his 70s, sparring with me, and I can't hit the guy. And I know boxers, friends of mine who trained, who are my age, who are in their 40s, and they're having trouble finishing sentences. And I'm stuttering when I say that.
It was just a stutter, though. Yeah, I wonder, because boxing, it's old. It's hundreds of years old, and the history probably goes a lot deeper than a lot of these other arts, even than karate. But they don't. If you think about it in the popular, just in popular culture, boxing is not thought of as a traditional martial art, even though it's hundreds of years old. But they also, I wonder, what is it that makes something a traditional martial art? And to go deeper on that, boxing, they don't have that care for their uke that you find.
That's a
in a
really
lot of,
good point. But I think that's some of, to me, I like defining things in categories. Wrestling is a sport, but not a martial art.
Right.
Boxing is a sport, but not a martial art, because martial arts encompasses principles and content for life.
Okay.
I've heard Joe Rogan say that he believes the martial arts is supposed to be a vehicle for empowering and improving your life. I totally agree with that. But I saw a long-term study that was done. I think it was at Stanford, but they took several groups of kids and put them in different situations from the same neighborhood, right? And some of these kids were taught physical fitness and weightlifting and stuff for a certain amount of years. And during that same amount of time, some of these kids were taught traditional Taekwondo with the history and the Korean language all included. And then another group was taught like sport Taekwondo, just the fighting parts, not really including any of the other aspects of it. And they kind of followed the timeline to see how these kids' lives from starting high school to starting college, right? Or the age they would have started college. Now, many of these kids never really made it to college, but the kids that were in the fitness program, the statistic was pretty even. Like some of them went on to do great things and be responsible, and some of them not so much, but it was still improved from the ones who did nothing at all, who weren't
Okay.
included in any of these activities. The ones that had the most positive effects on their life, meaning like they all went to college and had the highest rates of success, included the traditional martial arts and the Korean language, and they didn't compete at all. And the ones who competed actually got in more trouble than all the other groups, except for the ones who had no training at all. And I think that's weird. I think we shouldn't, in boxing, in many gyms that I've been to, in many of the places that I learned to fight, my wife and I run a gym together now. But one of the things that I'm very proud of is that in this same gym, I've produced world champion fighters. I have the most experienced 18-year-old in the state at the moment, and I got some really, really impressive young people. But I also have my wife, who's very comfortable to train there. I have my sons, my younger sons, having kids classes. I have summer camp. So in many of the places that I would have been comfortable taking my wife, I'd never be caught dead training there. And in many of the places that I learned to fight, I would never let them go there. And the tradition, the culture, the things that Ejern Chai has taught me about Muay Thai has made me force that out of the culture in my gym. So we have the kind of place that could still produce a fighter at the highest level, but also be respectful and have traditional value and principles that make your life better.
So the way that I kind of understand what you're saying and distill it is that while martial arts can be turned into a sport, while they can be kind of compartmentalized and divorced from everything that goes with them, they should be taught comprehensively to improve the person, not just with their physical skills, but also their mental, their spiritual.
And even in my kids class, I try to make it real simple. I have like a little award I give them: discipline, courage, perseverance, and understanding where these things fit in life. I think without those pieces, it's not martial art.
That really is fascinating, because even with wrestling, for example, there's so many forms of grappling, whether it's sambo, catch wrestling. I'm forgetting the name of the other one, but there's like kind of a gradient or degrees where something becomes a martial art and it's not, and wrestling and boxing are not
really looked at that way.
Yeah.
Let's think about what may outcome here. Like I wrestled at a school that took wrestling very seriously, and I learned a lot from it. I'm very grateful for the skills that I got. But in a wrestling practice, if somebody butted heads with you, or if somebody reached their hands into places they shouldn't reach them, or if something weird happened, you keep going.
Huh.
You either get the pin or you don't, or you get the takedown or you don't, whether he just stuck his hand up my shorts or not, right? In a jiu-jitsu context, if we accidentally bump heads, what happens?
Yeah. Oh, you pause and then
Stop.
you say, sorry. Are you okay?
And then you keep going. And you'll be just as competitive as you were a moment ago. Nobody's trying less to win. And nobody's less good. I think within that environment of respect, the athlete actually does get better.
Yeah.
Even more successfully better. He doesn't have to rely on hands up my shorts. And if I needed to, I could still put a hand up your shorts.
If you're dominating the person. But okay, and then on something else you were talking about is you don't actually get better by just always trying to kill the person necessarily. But so the Thais are known for playful sparring. And can you kind of explain a little bit why that?
And that might be overgeneralized. The same way every gym has a culture of its own. I've been in gyms where they spar hard, in Thailand too. And one of my favorite gyms where I feel like I've learned the most about Thailand is called Sang Tinoi's Muay Thai Camp.
Okay.
Sang Tinoi, they spar really hard 1 day a week. Okay. His recipe is like, you put on headgear and they put on like oversized gloves and they try to kill each other 1 day a week. I've been to other gyms where one of the younger fighters came out and borrowed my shin guards and was looking at him and like, hold them up. He said, what are these for? And I said, what do you mean, man? You never seen shin guards before? No, what do you use them for? I said, well, like when I'm training in the gym and I don't hurt each other. And he looked at me like I was crazy. Like, why would you try to hurt somebody in the gym? And And I was like, no. So that like when you're sparring, you don't accidentally like hurt your leg and stuff. He's like, you should be training to. So like to him, you should train hard enough to make your shins harder, to make your shins conditioned, to make yourself ready for fight. But you also should never need enough padding that you're going to hurt somebody. Like it made no sense to him.
Does
So
that
I kind of see
formula
both
work?
sides.
I've always wondered what is the level. You hear that back in the day in the UFC, people were going to war. They were sparring 6 times a week. They whatever. And then you there's kind of new school people like I think there was something about Max Holloway that he wasn't really sparring in camp because of the concussions. And where do you stand?
There's a balance, right? Like I feel like when people ask me that question, I say like, well, okay, well, how spicy should food be? You could answer that a lot of ways, man. Some people prefer their food a lot more spicy than others.
Yeah.
I do think that at some point in your career, you need to understand what pressure is, and pressure can be offered to you in many different ways. In my gym, I use a lot of systematized sparring situations where I'll put you in some of the positions that I'm worried. If you're you're doing something in a certain part of the fight that's not going the way, I'm going to make you stay in that part of the fight with 5 fresh dudes for a long time. If there's some part of the aspect of the fight that you're struggling with, we're going to stay in that uncomfortable place for a lot and make sure you overcome it. But I don't think that you need to get injured in the gym, man. I truly believe you get a certain amount of brain contact, and if you waste that when nobody's looking, it's silly. And learning should be there's ecological and systematized learning.
Right.
You need a balance of both. Somebody can teach you the strokes, but you don't know how to swim until you jump in the pool. And I feel like within a jiu-jitsu context, it's the same.
Yeah.
If I just told everybody, all right, roll, you would only be as good as what you know right now.
Yeah.
But if we offer you some specific drills and some specific opportunities to see and learn positions, you understand them better. That's absolutely true in striking. I think from the point of view of a striking instructor, people agree with me very quickly in the jiu-jitsu aspect, but I don't think it's as obvious. It's a little more subtle to understand the positional dominance and what you should be doing in striking.
Yeah.
And people don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah. No, I probably wouldn't, but I would love to learn. I mean, so a question from my experience training with you. I remember that I had this, habit that I'd want to get distance. And I remember you telling me, why are you stepping back? Like, so how does distance work in a Muay Thai context? And why was that inclination or habit of mine wrong? Or in maybe it was in a specific context. Can you go into like distance?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so each combat sport has a sweet spot distance, right? So if we talk about like karate, like point fighting, they fight very far away.
Right.
But that's because the first person who scores the first hit, they're going to break and stop. You're not going to continue fighting.
Right. You're not going to hang in the pocket and keep trading.
They don't need a plan for what's going to keep happening because it's not going to keep happening, right? From a boxing point of view, the same distance that you would operate in karate, they try to operate in boxing, like all the way out or all the way in, right? Because in that middle ground, there's a lot of gambling, a lot of luck that might go on. Well, in Muay Thai, almost all of the fight will take place in that luck zone. But we're trying to overcome luck with positional dominance and understanding of the places that we are. The human body doesn't go backwards very well. So intuitively, like people want to go backwards. Like if I give you the chance, I think the drill that we're talking about now, I give people the chance to throw one strike. So one strike, one strike, one strike, one strike. Now, as soon as I say that to humans, is if I did that as a social experiment and I walked away, I could tell when it's your turn because you're backing up. Like, and you're backing up, right? But what we're trying to teach ourselves is to not have to be able to defend and not have to go backwards.
To not have to use distance as a crutch.
Well, okay. Secondly, that doesn't work. You can't go backwards as fast as you can go forwards.
Okay.
That's not effective. So using it as a crutch would be a bad way to describe it because crutches work. That doesn't work. Backing up is just going to get you hit.
This is the first point of disagreement that I have with you, that because I feel like distance can be, maybe it's just hardwired into me in my old school jiu-jitsu that we're,
How far are you going to go back?
Well, it's kind of playing with the distance. It's if I'm getting uncomfortable with what's being thrown my way, I want to step back and find the moment to re-engage
and get hit again. It doesn't give you time. You're going to get hit again. Because if you were to back up, let's say you backed up for my kick. What am I going to do?
I guess
So one more kick. You can't because you broke your structure. What is a structure in every sport?
posture.
Can I move?
Positioning.
Can I attack? Can I defend? That's what your structure is. So if I break your structure, one or all of those is not available to you. If you go backwards, can you punch me?
No.
Can you block? Not well.
Right.
Can you slip? Not well. Can you kick? Not well. So I'm not worried.
But
So
I
we're in a
just-
gunfight and you put down your gun. You know?
But the margin of error is a little bit better if you have more distance on your side, right?
No. All of your defenses are going to work better holding your ground and even going forward. All of the guys that you saw like slip a punch in boxing, they did it going forward.
That's true. You take up,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, you steal space rather
Right.
than give space.
Right.
So like with every when you gain security, you lose freedom. It's like a life rule. And in boxing, that's always true. The more steps I take back, the less freedom I have. I got less
The
options
ropes
behind me.
behind your back, yeah.
You know?
Wow. Okay.
And in MMA context with a cage, I kind of hate the cage. I think it's bad for MMA, but that limits you even more. You know?
Yeah. No, this is maybe I've been. I don't want.
But that's it. That's what human nature though. Like if I leave people to it, if I start punching, they back up. You know?
Yeah. All right. So a little topic switch here.
Mhm.
I want to talk about your experience fighting as a professional and even as an amateur. And what was that like? I know you have some plans to at least have one more fight in the future, but just run me through preparing for a fight, the jitters, and then also are there any memorable moments from your fights that kind of just stick out in your brain for better or for worse? I know that's a broad question, but
Well, I love competition. I love fighting. I love what it does to others. As I've been a coach and watched what it does for their lives, I love what it's done for me. I love finding a new challenge that feels impossible that I can overcome. I love finding something that scares me a little bit. You know, I have 4 sons, and I've told them, if you're talking to that girl and there's not butterflies through your stomach and you're scared to the bones, she's not the right one. You know? And I feel that way about fighting, man. It brings that same thing in me that my wife brought out in me, you know, but
it makes you feel.
makes me alive. But fear and excitement are the exact same thing. You know, the water that boils a potato and makes it soft, boils an egg and makes it hard. It's the same. It's the same. Right? So I love things that bring fear out of me. And I can say that now from where I stand now, but like in many of those cases, I didn't realize that I loved it so that I like that. I didn't. I would be swallowed by the moment, and overcoming that moment has been the happiest moments of my life. And maybe other people, I can relate it through fighting, but like maybe other people, they climbed a mountain and it was so hard, it was miserable in the moment, but like, whoa, that was really great to do. And fighting can be that for everybody. And I love what I've been able to share with others and their journey of doing it. I have fought for Elite XC in MMA, for Strike Force was the biggest event I fought for. I fought professional fighting in front of Adrian Chai. My first professional fight was in front of Adrian Chai in Barbados. But none of that has
How was
been...
the prep for or finish your?
Oh, well, okay. So none of that is as proud as I've been for my favorite fighter. My favorite fighter on the whole earth is my 18-year-old son.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Giovanni Gomez, man. We call him Jojo. He started fighting when he was 9 years old.
Wow.
And he was terrified and almost crying before. And like, you know, if you don't want to do this, it's okay. No, I do. And then he got spinning kicked in the nose and got a bloody nose. And I have a white shirt that had my logo on it, and I wiped his nose off. And I said, buddy, it's okay. He smiled at me and said, I know, I'm fine. And I was like, oh, okay. And he beat the brakes off that kid. And
That's awesome.
It's been an amazing career since then. And my most memorable fight joining him was last year. Last year, getting ready for the National Olympic Tournament. USA Muay Thai is an organization that has done amazing things throughout the U.S. in building our sport from the ground up, building an audience, building the best competitors to represent us at the World Games, building the best competitors to take us and represent the U.S. around this sport. But my son was fighting for his place to go to the IFMA at the World Games. And he was the least experienced person in the elite division. we put him in the elite division. I've always tried to find challenges for him that were a little above his pay grade.
His level, yeah.
So he had 8 fights going into the division, where most of the people had 30 and 40 fights.
Wow.
The guy who won this tournament, he's very, very experienced, and he had 96 fights.
My gosh.
He doesn't go to school. His parents homeschool him so he can travel the world fighting. He's won the world tournament 4 times, and he was fighting for his chance to be in it for the 5th time. So my son, should we win, Jojo would have been fighting him in the finals. So I said, all right, you know, we're getting ready for this tournament. We know what we're getting ready for. We're the elite of the United States. That was in April last year. In preparation for this, riding a bike, I got hit by a car.
Whoa.
They hit me, they left me there. I got an acid concussion. I broke my collarbone in 3 places, dislocated my shoulder. And 7 days before the event, I went to the emergency room. The doctor gave me the bad news, and he's like, "Man, we're gonna have to do a surgery. We're gonna have to do it when I get back." And he said, "No, I'm sorry, man. You know, you're not gonna be able to go on this trip." And I told him, "You don't know me, man." So I slept in a sling. Jojo and I went to Delaware for that tournament. I couldn't hold the pads for him, but my friends in the community, it's a beautiful community, man. They found out I had an accident. They called each other, created a little text chain I wasn't even a part of, and hey, Dave's trying to do stuff again, and they would sneak over and help me. I'm no, sit down, do this, you know. Great support from great people, and Jojo was really nervous. This was the biggest competition he'd ever been a part of. Round 1 of the tournament, he smashed this guy who had far more experience than him, guy who was supposed to be too much for him. Jojo won every round. Then we have a whole day next. We have to cut weight again, and we have to weigh in for the finals of the tournament. The finals of the tournament,
holy moly,
we're going to fight that kid.
Cutting weight in between each.
Oh, you got to weigh in every day of the tournament.
Wow.
Yeah. And in this tournament, there was a few hundred competitors, and we have to wait in line at 6 a.m. and then wait for your fight bout to be called. And it was rough, man. And elbows and knees and stuff. There's a lot to take after all that process you've been through. Jojo did really great. He made it through the fight. He didn't win. We came up short. We took a silver medal for the tournament. But losing to somebody on such a high level was an honor, not, in any way bad.
Not a disappointment, yeah.
Not a disappointment. And Jojo did great, man. And I got to share something that I thought was impossible, a moment that I thought wasn't even going to be able to happen. And so freaking proud of him, man. And then from there, he got offered some really big stuff. He got to fight in Thailand a few months after that, won that fight as well. Got to fight, in an even bigger tournament this year for the WTBA. And now he fights June 26th in Phuket, Thailand, in M Arena.
Cool. Really big one. Is that going to be, you think it'll be streamed?
They're going to have a YouTube live, yeah.
Cool. I'll connect with you because I'd love to watch that. And your son is, I've seen some stuff. He's incredible. And you could tell that you've been crafting him and training him. And he's a BA. I'm
really proud. And I'm really, I feel lucky that I can share this with him, even if he never wanted to fight, all of my boys have to train in the martial arts. All of the life lessons that we've been talking about I think they're necessary for building a young man.
For sure. I think it benefits society. That vision of Jigoro Kano that, with judo, it's not a martial art, it's a way of life, and it should extend into every facet of your life to improve the efficiency in everything. And
if you apply that
by a moral code.
If you apply that code to living everything in life, I read a book. On the days that I fight, I try to do some of the same things. I try to eat some of the same foods. I try to read this same book every time. The Book of 5 Rings.
Oh,
Musashi says,
Miyamoto.
Yeah. Musashi says, when a man finds the way broadly, he finds it in all things.
Huh.
And I realize that when I meet more than I meet people oh yeah, it's like that thing that I already know. Exactly right.
So some quick red meat questions just about that I've always wondered, and I'm sure the average person wonders. When you're in a fight, are you in fight or flight mode? Maybe it depends on each fight. Are you in fight or flight mode? Are you able to think rationally, or is it pure survival? What's going through your head in your fights?
Neither of those should be true. If you're going to find success in fighting, you should have control of your emotions. You should have control of what you're investing in this physically and emotionally, you know. I try to build a fight camp in a way that programs you to not think, because thinking is in the way of doing.
Okay.
You know, but to respond, not react, but to respond. And maybe this becomes like a life metaphor too, you know, but to be prepared to respond, to have a structure that allows you capacity to do all the things that you're hoping to do and to do them without thinking. If a football player had to stop and think about how to catch a ball, he didn't catch the ball. You know?
That's a good point.
Yeah. So we're trying to program the things into your second nature that are just going to come out of you. The hope that I have is that we've done such a good job preparing you that your mind can be focused on stay calm. Here's the opportunity. Go. You know, but that's a tricky game. You know, to help my student relate. I had a student recently who fought for a smaller competition, and he was very nervous. And yeah, but coach, it's not like you, man. Like you do all this stuff with all this courage, and I was like, all right, hold on. Let me tell you a story. I had a fight in 2015 where I was the main event. The fighter that I was up against, in no world, in no universe, could this man beat me. He can't beat me. And I went to Thailand. I got some magic tattoos. I got some magic training. No man could have beaten me. But this particular guy I was up against, there's no way. There's no way. I was in, you know, the special, because being the main event, they put me in like the special locker room. I got to be in the special locker room above everybody else. And I tried to act like I was cool, like everything was fine. And I was terrified, nervous, to the bone, so scared. And so scared because, like, if I lose to an opponent who's really good, there's a certain amount of shame. If I lose to this guy, it would be really bad for me. It would feel really bad for me. So I built up this nerves in my mind for some reason. And this is not me 20 years ago. This is not that long ago. And like, man, I'm so nervous. I'm so scared. You know, my dad came up, my stepdad came up to come wish me luck. And instead of like, hey, Dad, good to see you, I said like, who let him up here? What are you doing? And I was so like, I was a mess. I was debating with myself whether to throw myself down the stairs. Because if I throw myself down the stairs and break my arm, like nobody's going to make me go through with this. Like,
oh my gosh.
I had like somehow logical debate with myself as to whether or not, and then like realizing, what the fuck am I thinking? Like, no. So, you know, I had to help my student relate that like, I was terrified.
Right.
And if I wasn't, maybe it wouldn't be that great of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know?
And so in any of your fights, have you felt pain? And the reason I ask that is because I haven't really gotten in a real fight, but you know, I've done a lot of training, a lot of sparring, and when I get hit in the face, surprisingly, it doesn't hurt, at least not in the moment. Maybe afterwards it'll hurt. So how do you feel when you get hit in fights?
I have a funny answer for that, and then like another answer for that.
Okay.
All right. So the thing I teach in classes is like, yeah, the truth is like, you hit me in the face, you just make me a better fighter. I just get pissed off. But if I kick you in the leg, you're going to feel that.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
Okay.
So there's like levels of pain. It kind of depends on where and how, right? Like if I hit you in the body really hard, there's a lot of pain related to that. If I kick you in the leg real good, there's a lot of pain related to that. There's this move I've been using lately where I use like a toe stab. I stab you with my toe.
Ooh.
If I get you with that, man, that hurts a lot.
You're incorporating your old karate roots.
But pain shouldn't change the decisions that you make, right?
Okay.
Does a marathon runner feel pain? Yes. So, you know?
Yeah, that's part of it.
It's part of it. You know, and part of what you're proud of afterwards. You know, I had a fighter I fought against, and he fought in strike force, a guy that I admired, a guy that was far more experienced than me. I broke his arm in the first round, landing a really hard kick. I didn't know. The guy was such a hard ass. He didn't show it at all. And it hurt my shin. So I didn't throw any more kicks because I had a bruised leg. And at the end of the fight, he came to me like, yeah, man, I think it's done. And like, we have a picture up in my gym that's blown up where
oh my God,
his arm is bent around and like, oh man. So like, Pain doesn't have to make decisions for you.
Yeah. No, and it's in a fight with the adrenaline, the cortisol, everything going on. It's interesting what the human body can do and what the human body can accomplish.
And I think it's an amazing thing
It's a
to
beautiful
watch.
thing.
Yeah.
So this has been a great conversation. I'd love to do a part 2, but I'd love for you to kind of tell the audience where they can find you and about your gym.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
anything that you want to promote, your son.
Well, I'm co-founder of a company called Living Muay Thai. We are the educational brand and the curriculum of Edrin Chai's version of Muay Thai. We have created a ranking system, a teaching curriculum, a series of tools that are built for teachers, for students, for fans, for everybody to have a better understanding, a better appreciation, and a better way to learn Muay Thai. So livingmuaythai.com, we have our website there, and we have Living Muay Thai gyms all across the US. But my home gym is called Beautiful Violence Miami, and we coach fighters and housewives and kids and adults, and we're really proud of our team and our fighters. And my son, Giovanni Gomez, he's going to be fighting June 26th at M Arena in Phuket, and we train with Tiger Phuket while we're there, and really excited for the next couple of steps.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming aboard Beyond the Mat.
Thank you so much.
It was an honor.
Yeah.